Welcome back. My name is Bob Cristello, and I am a WordPress architect. I work in the digital marketing space for a global data protection company. Welcome back to WordPress with WP Bob. This is episode 2. Today's topic, what are WordPress themes? I'd like to start by saying that nothing I say, none of the software I show you, none of the strategies, these are not policies of my company. I do not speak for my company whatsoever, or any other agency that I might be involved with. And nothing I say could be used in a business sense or financial sense context. So, caveat emptor. So today we're going to be looking at WordPress themes. This is the front page of bobcristello.com that is running a WordPress theme. This is the front page of wpbob.com running a different theme. WP Bob will be our final project. It's currently hidden from the world. We'll be going over our project plan in episode 5. Speaking of which, LinkedIn does not make high definition videos. So when I uploaded to LinkedIn yesterday, I did not anticipate that the video would not be in high def format. So as part of the project plan in episode 5, we'll be going over why I added YouTube to this project plan. I'm a big fan of measuring twice and cutting once. So back to themes. So in the back end, when we look at themes, you can see I've downloaded quite a few. If I click on the add new button, I can see a bunch of themes, and I can search for any type that I want, like news or photography, whatever you happen to be involved with, health, medical. Here's a good one. So let's just install this. I have no idea what this is going to look like, but we're going to just install this, which it is doing right now. You may not be able to see it because I have to block out a portion of the top of my screen simply because there's information about my Google AdWords and my server that I cannot expose to the world. But there we go. We have a new theme activated. I don't even know what it does, but here we go. This is what it looks like on the front end. Well, there you go. That's kind of cool. It has pagination built into it. Nice full width, kind of really tall header if you're into that look, full width look. Here's another theme. Let's activate this really quickly. And so all we're doing is we're just reskinning the website really quickly. There you go. So that's what the front page looks like. That's an individual blog post. The other thing that we typically look for is what do archives look like. Those are the 3 things you want to look at. Like, what does a page look like? What does an archive look like? What does an individual post look like? And you can create different ones for different types. Like, let's say you have blog and you have news and you want one to look one way and one to look another way. You can do that. This is the default theme that comes with WordPress, as we've seen in the past. It's a little grid kind of look. And this is what WordPress was using 2 years ago, which most developers are actually more familiar with this type of back-end architecture. And we'll take a look at the code in just a bit here. But that is the basic purpose of these themes, is to just give us a different appearance. And again, we have posts and pages, which are 2 different post types in WordPress. Like if you look at the backend database, for example, here you go. Like you'll see that we only have a post table and a post meta table, for example. And posts can be out of the box. Well, okay, let's save that for a later time. But out of the box, they can be posts or pages. And then there's 2 types of taxonomies which only posts can use. And these are the categories and tags, as we've seen before. This is the WP Bob project. Now this is using a paid theme. This paid theme is called Aveda. So when I add a new post, like it looks different. I can add things like code blocks, and like I can put CSS right here on the page if I want. Aveda is a fully comprehensive paid theme, and themes like Aveda, Elementor, like these big themes, this is what they do, is they allow you to build things like your layouts here instead of in code, which is what we're going to be looking at in a little while. In the old days, we used to have to build all of these templates and archive headers into the theme, making WordPress theme developers very secretive and private people that other team members would watch go off and never come back until whenever, because this used to take a long time. But now you buy a theme like Aveda or Elementor, and you can create these global layouts here. And you can create different archive types. Like this is just the base blog. If I wanted like webinars or podcasts, or products would require like a WooCommerce. But let's take another look here really quickly. We noticed that in default themes, like on bobcristello.com, you've got posts, pages, as we've said, and 2 taxonomies. Over here in Aveda, instantly you go from posts and pages to these things called portfolios, FAQs. And if you added a plugin called WooCommerce, you would see something called products. These are custom post types, and they also may have their own FAQ categories. That is a taxonomy specific to the FAQ post type. Just like in our other scenario, categories and tags are taxonomies associated only with posts. Now, I've probably gone too deep, but these are some of the things that you need to look out for. And here, let me go one step further. Okay, so this is the really cool thing about this. You buy a tool like this. This is a tool I've purchased and I licensed. I think it cost me $70 a year. But look at this. Right in the back end, they give you this studio. So let's say you're just building a website or redesigning a website. Like here's a whole, like every Aveda thing that's possible is in here. It's already like built you an example, and you could say, oh, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that whole page. Let's just import it into our library. You can see I only have one item in my library right now, but you could import these things into your library from the studio, and then you have them. More than that, you've got headers and page titles, content blocks, the way footers should look, containers that can go within your pages. So not only can you take these full page layouts, but you can take all these little pieces, and they all contain these beautiful elements. Like this is one I love. I use this all the time. I love these things. But you import them in, and then you change them and you modify them, and you build a website. Mega menus, every icon that you could possibly ever want to use, and you can control the color of everything. Forms, off-canvas stuff like pop-ups and calls to action, sidebars, social sharing. The list goes on and on and on. And this is what you get with a fully mature paid theme. And even though this looks terrible right now because I'm not really a graphic designer, we'll make it look passable, because that's the whole point of the exercise, is to make it look good, make it function, make it score well in SEO, make it score well for SERPs, which is how your stuff gets displayed on Google. Okay, let's dive in a little deeper. Okay, so here we are. We're looking at the 2023 theme. As we could see in this example, this is the 2021 theme. Let's activate 2023. So this is the latest theme from WordPress about how their websites can be built. And I do want to just go through this with you. So you can see what you're looking at here. Let's make sure we turn this off. So I have a few files here, like htaccess, wp-config, which we'll be going through at some point in time. But you can see I have a themes directory and a plugins directory. Next episode of WP Bob will be about plugins. Here's the 2023 theme. This is built according to a block format. This is what they call a block theme. When WordPress 6.0 and then 6.1 came out, it was very important for people to wrap their head around this block thing, which, quite frankly, many people had difficulty with, especially people who are outside of the WordPress structure, like in the management structure or above, direct managers, maybe at the vice president or above level. So without that kind of understanding, they're not really sure of what they're hiring. And I always say, you have to understand that there are different types of WordPress professionals. And just because you get a WordPress person doesn't mean they know anything about building themes. I happen to have a long history. So anyway, these new block themes are built into parts, assets, such as fonts. You'll see their .html files with, kind of some commenting structure in there that, the WordPress engine recognizes. You've got these patterns. Patterns are a big thing. There was just a thing in the news about it this morning. I'll have to check it out. But 404 pages, footers, post meta pages, styles. This was a big thing, like the introduction of JSON files. More HTML templates, and you've got one style.css down here and then a full theme JSON file. So this is really what they call a block format. And if you want to write block themes, I suggest you download a copy of 2023 and make it your own. Maybe we'll do that. 2021 is a little bit of an older format, and actually one that's still viable today. Most web developers for WordPress that you'll find will still develop this way. They'll insist it has to be done this way, which anytime a WordPress person insists anything, you should have a conversation with them. But in the old days, a single post used to be created by a whole block of text. So again, just to make sure that we're following up. So back here, when I'm looking at this layout section and I'm saying to you, I have a global header and a global footer, the old way we used to do things was to build, as you can see, there's the footer page. That's how we used to build footers in code. And you can still do it because WordPress will recognize this naming structure. But here you go, there's my archive, there's displaying my comments, there's my 404 page, there's my index page, and so on and so forth. Where as opposed to a system like Avada, for example, they're all here. Here's my blog content layout, here's my archive layout, and it's all done visually. So using these mature themes allows us to interact as developers in a much more rapid development manner. Now, here, let me give you a tip, okay? So let's say you're starting out on a shoestring budget and you really want to understand a great theme. GeneratePress is a theme that you can use. It'll make your website look very plain, but it's very simple in its architecture. Still accepted industry standard today. Download it for free, and when you look at the code, it will be in this type of layout. You'll see it in an older structure. Many themes are still built in the older structure. So what was the benefit then of going to something of this nature here with the Avadas or the Elementors of the world? Well, it leveled the playing field, first of all. A lot of people that had never touched this type of stuff, like WordPress UI designers, could use these things very simply. And then WordPress CSS coders started to see they could put little snippets of CSS here and there. Really good professional themes like a beta will give the option of putting everything into single files like you used to, or using this new format where everything is kind of broken up and you're only loading pieces of your CSS as you need them. And this is to make the site more responsive. Here, let's take a look at the responsive nature of a website. And let's look at this on bobcristello.com, because this is even better to show this. If I look at the theme options, for example, you'll notice like I have some like site identity, layout, colors, typography, additional CSS. I can put site-wide CSS right in here, so I don't need to go into my styles.css here if I don't want to. I can just put it right in here. And one of the really cool features of this, you can see that's like a little desktop view. If I click on this one, there you go. That's what my site's going to look like in a tablet. So any spacing I got to fix, I can do right here. There's my CSS workpad. Sometimes people work in here and then take their CSS out and put it into their final CSS. And you know, that is another methodology. But that is the beauty of this thing. And then even further, just to continue the exercise, you can see it in mobile format. So you can get an idea of what your site looks like before anybody else ever does. If you come to the site right now, it's not there. It'll just say under maintenance. So you have a lot of freedom. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover today. I did want to make sure that you understood that themes are an easy way to skin the appearance of your WordPress website. There are free themes, which there are many available, full with, you know, boxed with both, either or. You know, there's a ton of themes already in a format for like medical and education and health, and or you can look at like one of these, like a beta type themes or Elementor type themes. I prefer a beta simply because Elementor's had security vulnerabilities 3 times in the last year, where like a beta hasn't had any. So I make decisions based on things like that too. Like how often is my company's website going to be impacted? And if my company is as important to me as my own project, wouldn't I apply the same things to my own project as I would to my company, and vice versa? The idea of practicing the same principles in every area of your life is a critical one. The best tip I can give you if you're a WordPress professional is always be willing to admit that you're wrong. And always be willing to admit that you do not know the answer, but that you can find out. Educate your company about what your skill set is. Help your company know what other areas can interface with WordPress, because you might have a graphic designer that never touched WordPress. You might have a content writer that never touched a WordPress. You might have an SEO person or a lead capture person or a social media person who has never touched WordPress. And so immediately that person has to become a WordPress SEO person if they do SEO, or a WordPress designer if they are a graphic designer, and so on and so forth down the line. And that is your job as a professional to do that. Teach your team, learn from your team. Believe in yourself. There is no upsell here. This is my masterclass. I'm doing this purely to document my process, to store it in a place like Google, which is, you know, like YouTube, the second largest search engine in the world, LinkedIn. They'll be here forever. And maybe 20 years from now, my daughter will look at this and think, hey, that's my dad at the top of his game. So thanks for joining me. See you next time on WordPress with WP Bob.